Now, what is white denial? Well, white denial is a cultural thing. It is not a racial thing. It comes from a culture of applying pseudoscience and religion, okay, in different ways. You have people who are completely pseudoscientists. You have atheist psychiatrists. Their whole life is a lie. It's a godless pseudoscientific lie based on pathetic theories, right? And then there are people who are completely religious, right? And they all fall under the auspices and the control of people who meet halfway, so to speak, right? The white and the black, the pure spirit of righteousness and the contaminated darkness of the material world. The God of righteousness and light and spirit, and the God of the dirty, filthy material world. And so, as a result, people deny the truth when they hear it as part of their conditioning. Their culture is to mislead people. People mislead people by how much of an expert they are. When you go to see a psychiatrist, how often do they highlight that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about? Never. Same with a psychologist. They mislead you. You think a used car salesman is honest? When somebody's applying for a job, do you think they're 100% honest? Most, for them, generally speaking. People mislead people about how proficient they are, how much of an expert they are, how smart they are, and so on. And the same thing goes for races. There are races that have spent a lot of time and effort and money to mislead you into thinking that they are smarter than they are. And that's what psychology is about. For people to sell you their culture, they have to sell you the idea that their culture is superior. It's like, fuck my culture, I like theirs. That's what they want you to think, okay? And that is where psychology comes in. How can a decadent culture, they had to expand the world. If their culture is so great, why don't they just keep to themselves? Why don't they just stay in Europe and, have a blast? No, their culture was so bad that they fled from it. Why did the pilgrims and all these people come to America, right? Is because European culture is so great and we all should be fucking white? Or is it because they're complete scum and they couldn't stand their own fucking culture? Think about it. So they came here. And when they came here, everyone was like, these fucking white devils and their devil culture are killing everybody. So in order for them to sell you the idea that the people who went around colonizing, raping, killing, deceiving, tricking, extorting, exploiting everybody have a superior culture, which is beyond laughable, they need psychology and drugs. So when you are on the side of the mixed martial artist, as when it comes to which lifestyle is better, which path, which warrior path, if you will, is better, you are on the side of bullshit, of material bullshit. And all these guys in the media, they have this fake, the actor playing Bruce Lee is saying that martial art is not a religion. It's fucking just complete nonsense. It's like taking something that comes straight from religious cults, nowhere else, and then turning around and saying martial arts has nothing to do with religion. Makes you a fucking idiot. Just shut the fuck up. Makes you more of a liar than these pussies who pretend that I'm not as good as I say that I am, while they cannot fucking show up. They cannot beat me. It is despicable. They can't even come close to beating me. They never even heard of somebody who can come close to beating me. They need to shut the fuck up. And that goes back to what I said before. We live in a culture where people mislead people as part of their culture. And that includes all these pussies, these trolls, right? And trolling is part of the culture. Just Google it. Governments have been caught paying trolls. And trolls lie to you. Propaganda campaigns didn't just come out one day. It is the recipe for white supremacy. Is lie to people about, white people's worth, if you will. How smart they are, how good they are, how good their culture is. Lie to people about everything white. Convince them that white is right. And of course, at the you know, the MMA didn't come out. It wasn't a bunch of black guys or Chinese guys that came out with the MMA. You know, this is an American thing. This is American culture, and you know, people are playing stupid about the dangers. You know, while they watch it and say, "Ooh," you know, they're pretending like it's not sick to watch a bunch of people beat each other bloody, and sometimes, you know, cause each other permanent brain damage, and sometimes even death. You know, so it's like it goes back to the direction of humanity by a bunch of pagan eugenicists. You know, that's what Masons are. They look up to the Romans, the architecture of Rome, the eugenics of Rome, the aspirations for a new world order of Rome, the club of fucking Rome. No matter how you slice it, the enemies of humanity and righteousness, the enemies of true progress, are pseudo-scientific, mental health supporting pussies. They are the same idiots who pretend that Christians caused slavery and are the reason why slavery existed or something. Slavery existed before Christianity, and Christians are the ones who ended slavery, not Enlightenment era philosophers. You know, they were the ones who were all talk, just like with martial arts. You know, I'm the Christian that can beat everybody, you know, at martial arts. They're the Enlightenment fucking pussies who are all talk, just like during the abolitionist movement. It was the Christians, you know, in the British Empire, like Wilberforce, the single most effective abolitionist in human history. Wilberforce, okay? He did the act, I believe it was called the Slave Act or something, in 1807, I believe. You know, the British Empire had 1 in 6 people on the planet, and by nearing the end of the century, it would be 1 in 4 people on the planet belonged to the British Empire, and he was key in ending slavery. You know, and he caused a movement. He supported the Whig Party and brought more abolitionists into Parliament to end slavery. You know, and Christians were the most outspoken. Several popes came out and condemned slavery. You know, it was these fucking Enlightenment era motherfuckers like Pike, you know, writing things like the intelligent white race should take advantage of the stronger muscles of other races which they deem inferior, right? And they call it the justice of God. Okay, the people talking about, you know, the fanatics, the sickos, were mad scientists. They weren't your fucking neighborhood Christian. It's funny how these people will convince you that the people that say love your enemies are the problem, and not the motherfuckers who wiped out millions of their own countrymen in Russia, for instance. You know, because communism and Masonry go hand in hand. Communism is an atheist approach to Masonry, if you will. You know, and it sets the stage for the central bankers to control your perspective using pseudoscience and psychology of who the experts are, right? When we talk about a meritocracy or a technocracy, you know, it is the perceived experts, pretend, you know, playing God. So the problem in society is that people's perception, you know, they don't understand, just like I said in my song, they don't understand the different forms of intelligence because they're a fool. Who is the fool in the court? You know, the jester might not be the fool. He might play the fool. But the fools are the people that actually believe that that's how things are supposed to be. That the fucking, you know, corrupt leaders are actually supposed to be in charge. That it makes the most sense for them to be in charge. You know, once you look at intelligence for what it is, and not the perceived intellect that these liars want you to think it is, you know, you quickly come to the conclusion that things are backwards. The people who are the least intelligent are the most likely to be conformists. You know, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is conformity. Wisdom is misery, and the desire, the unbearable, the unavoidable desire not to conform, to rebel, to resist. It is impossible for the wise man to conform. Impossible. And I'll end this by bringing up the case of Socrates. Socrates was considered the wisest, even by the Western standards of the Greeks. By the Western standard. And he was given a choice. You can conform. All you have to do is play stupid. We don't even want you to truly be brainwashed. We're not even demanding that of you, Socrates. We just want you to play stupid. Okay? And we'll let you go. And Socrates said, no. A life without questioning is not worth living. Because a life without questioning is conforming. That is the definition of conforming when you really think about it. It's saying, okay, I'll do it, because questioning leads to resistance. It leads to nonconformity. Questioning is nonconformity. When you're truly questioning it. And when I say that, I mean it on this planet, because in heaven, that's a different type of, I wouldn't even use the word conform. It would be more like return to who you are, So I guess it was right the first time, depending on how you look at it. But when you see what I'm truly getting at, no matter what, I'm right. So, just to review real quick, and I'll wrap this up. I didn't want to make this video this long. Eugenics is the self-direction of humanity by a bunch of white supremacists and their Jewish banking allies. And over the years, they have let the Asians in on their hustle because they're eugenicists. That's why you get the word Eurasia. Has to do with common ancestors and the human gene pool, and believing that one part of the gene pool is superior to the rest, and that should be the focus of human reproduction and investment. Investing sexually, emotionally, financially, socially. So to value perceived intellect using the white man's completely biased, relentless, and demonic scale. And that is why, when you look at the people talking about it, it's a bunch of occultists and Satanists who are the most passionate about it, because this way of thinking is demonic. To say that we value perceived intellect over morality derived from religion, which we're going to call superstition. And we're going to equate that to, saying, I don't want to walk under a ladder, or if you break a mirror, it's, bad luck. Okay? They're going to put that in the same category, which is also demanding that you play stupid. I mean, how stupid would you have to be, honestly, to put believing in God in the same category as, believing that you shouldn't walk under a ladder? I mean, how fucking completely and this is how stupid they expect you to be. And to join them on their demonic crusade to make everybody a stupid puppet of a bunch of bitches who don't want to admit that they're inferior. So they change the scale. They're like, look, on the natural scale, they are the filth on the bottom that have to come up with ways to cheat people to survive because they are not skilled. Nature did not select them, and they saw it coming. So they started a cult for people who are filth. And over the years, the filth have usurped God's elect, God's selected and chosen. And no matter how you slice it, this is the case. We know this because the nature is being destroyed. If God had chosen them to rule over us on this planet, they wouldn't be destroying the planet so quickly. So no matter how you slice it, they are inferior forms of life. Well, I have displayed my mind, body, and soul through my sacred, natural process and display of martial arts excellence.